No judgment, just real talk. This is the Apology Accepted podcast. The views expressed on the Apology Accepted podcast are those of the host and guest and do not reflect the views of any affiliate organization or individual. The content is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. For personal, legal, or emotional matters, please consult a qualified professional. By continuing to listen to this podcast, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Apology Accepted podcast. I am your host, Latisha Monique, and this week I want to talk about motherhood and healing. Ooh. So motherhood is a journey of love, sacrifice, and transformation. But what happens when you're also on a personal healing journey? In this episode of the Apology Accepted podcast, we dive into challenges and joy of healing while being a mom. From breaking generational cycles to setting boundaries and finding time for self-care, we explore the delicate balance of prioritizing ourselves while showing up for our children. So tune in as I share my personal story, have an honest conversation with you guys, maybe give a few tips, and navigate this healing thing without guilt. Because a healed mom raises empowered children. So let's just get up into this thing here, because this is going to be a real touchy one for me, y'all. But we're going to go ahead and start with the reality of healing while mothering. Healing is not a straight path. It comes with highs and lows. Motherhood in itself is a demanding role, which makes healing even more complex sometimes. Moms often feel guilty for focusing on their personal growth, feeling like they should always put their children first, and society's unrealistic expectations of moms are expected to be nurturers, providers, and emotional supporters, yet rarely given a space to process their own emotions. Healing can bring up past wounds that surface in motherhood, especially when your children trigger emotions related to your own childhood experiences. Growing up as second oldest, raised by a single mother, my mom did not always get it right. As a matter of fact, she definitely missed the mark a lot. In my eyes and in my opinion, I had a very brutal type of childhood, from negativity, surrounded by negativity, to name calling, to physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. And these are all the things that sometimes we don't think about how this affect our child as they get older. Because most of the time we live in moments. We live in the moments of the right now. We lived in the moments of how we were raised, how we seen it, what we know. So therefore, a lot of us have missed the mark. And how do we change this? We change this by breaking generational cycles. Many moms are the first in their families to acknowledge and work through trauma, which can feel isolating sometimes. Unhealed trauma can be unknowingly passed down through parenting styles. Learning how to shift from survival basic parenting to intentional gentle parenting. Healing means giving your children what you didn't have: emotional security, healthy conversations, and unconditional love. That is how we break some of these generational cycles. Because again, my mom missed the mark. There was no gentle parenting with us growing up. And I don't say this in a way of being or trying to say my mom is a bad person, because I love my mom to death. Like, my mom is my girl. I love that lady. But here we stand with some realities. And her missing the mark on parenting is one of the realities. And being able to address that and acknowledge some of the trauma that was passed down is a part of healing. Healing is not something that is easy, and it is not something that you can do in a day, even a week. Healing is hard work and dedication every day. Healing is one of these lifelong commitments that you have to give to yourself every day. I was sharing this with someone. I seen a clip of Ayanna Van Zant, and she said something that resonated with me so well. She made a statement and she said, "I was not a good mother, but I was a damn good father." And the way I was like, huh? And then she went on to explain. She mentioned being a great provider for her children. But that gentle parenting, that emotional security, that healthy conversation and unconditional love, she missed the mark on that. And she was able to share that in a statement that she did, an interview that she did. And it resonated with me because I instantly thought about my own mother. And then as an adult, when I think about that situation, because again, healing is a commitment you have to give to yourself. And so I wanted to go a little deeper into my generational cycles and what this looks like for me and what am I passing down to my children. And so when I look at my mother, my mom worked her butt off. To this day, still works her butt off. Hours upon hours upon hours. That lady will work. So her being a provider, hands down, unmatched. She is unmatched in that category. And then when I look at her mother, that woman, my grandmother, love her to death. She worked her butt off. So being a provider was something that I feel like the women in my family had to do first. It really wasn't I'm going to be able to do all this in one. They had to be a provider first, and all of the other stuff really didn't come to the forefront. So in the midst of being a provider, other things lacked. And in that time, okay, cool, most of the traumas got swept under the rug. It wasn't, so many of us in therapy, getting some of the help that we need for some of the things that we're dealing with as far as our traumas. That wasn't a thing back in my grandmother's time and in my mom's time. But now me, as an adult, having 4 children, how is my parenting style? What do I want that to look like? Can I be a provider and tackle some of these other parenting styles for emotional security, healthy conversation, and unconditional love? Can I do both? Can I do all? Can I do everything? And the answer was yes. I literally tried to do everything. I wanted to show my children all the things that was not shown to me. I was not big on, oh, I want to buy my children all the things that my mom wasn't able to buy me, but I did want to provide them opportunities that was not shared with me. And with that, I showed up at every game. My children was in everything, meaning all year long. They were in everything. The rule in my house, once you turn 5 and you were able to do something, whether it was flag football or whether it was cheerleading, at the age of 5, my children started to become active in something. And you had to remain active in something. And I was the number one cheerleader alongside my husband. I was the number one cheerleader. I cheered for my children in everything, whether it was football games, basketball games, soccer games, cheerleading, dance. And how do you cheer for someone in dance? But I did. Assemblies, plays that they've done. Like, I showed up. When my children looked out in the crowd, they seen their mom. And sometimes, so embarrassing for my sons, they didn't even have to look in the crowd. They could hear their mother on the sideline yelling and screaming. But this is the memories that I want them to always have, and I want them to be able to share it with their children. Like, I want them to be able to have to, tell their children, you know what, your grandmother, or what I'm going to be called. I got time to think about that because I ain't even trying to speak that into existence. But, just to be able to share that I was there. I was yelling. I was front and center, or whatever the case may be. This was definitely one of my number one things on my list of breaking generational curses or generational cycles. I don't want to call them curses, but generational cycles. So now that we're understanding, okay, we identified the generational cycle that we want to break. Now what do we do? How do we move forward? How do we go from point A to point B, because we're still trying to heal personally while mothering. And one thing that I did have difficulties with being a mom, because I was a young mom, I was a teen mom, and then I became a young wife, and then just having more children. So one of the things that I struggled with was setting boundaries without guilt. I always felt so guilty when I said no. And then I have to, not only was I saying no, but then I had to give like my reasoning for why I'm saying no, or my excuse, or, it was never just, it is no. I always had to share my why. And so setting boundaries without guilt was something that I just couldn't do. I wasn't good at it. I couldn't do it. But boundaries are necessary for mental and emotional well-being, but many moms struggle with them due to guilt. Duh, that was me. It's okay to say no to things that drain you, even if they involve family or friends. Because guess what? I showed up to everything. But what I didn't mention is I showed up tired. What I didn't mention was I showed up sad. It's been times I showed up angry, but still setting those feelings aside to be able to cheer for my children. So yes, I did a good thing by showing up, but who was it good for? Because it wasn't good all the time for both parties, meaning child and mom, me. Because most of the times I showed up in a space where I was not well. Prioritizing personal time and explaining to kids that self-care is not selfish. I do remember one time I was just, I think, mentally broke down. And my son had a high school game. And I've been to every game since 5 years old. And I was just mentally broke down. But I had to understand that, guess what? Me not going does not mean that I don't support nor love. And guess what? My tribe, my kids' tribe, our tribe, they showed up still. And my kid didn't miss a beat. The only thing that was missing physically was me. However, when he got home, it was all the things of, how was your game? How did it go? What happened? Give me some highlights. But mentally, I was broken down and I really could not attend. And I thought that was going to be one of the most hurtfulest things for my child. But guess what? I'm not going to say he didn't care, because those were not his words. But he was like, Mom, let me tell you what you missed. And he went into everything that happened. But he didn't take it as, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. My mom is not here. And that's when I started having more conversations with my children in reference to boundaries, because it was a different level of boundaries. That elementary level of boundaries that we had in my household, when my door is shut, don't just come busting up in here, okay? For the grown folks that might be listening, don't just come busting up in my daggone my room. Knock, give me a knock, and let me say, come in. But now it was a different level of boundaries, because again, my kids played all sports. I was always front and center. But what I didn't share is that I was always heavily involved. Either I was the room parent, I was the coach, I was the, the snack mom, and everything. I was like literally always just available, which really made it seem like I didn't have a job. And that wasn't the case, okay? I was working along with doing all of these things, and it was draining me. Even though I truly enjoyed the smiles on my kids, I enjoyed being there. I also had to understand that I was not setting healthy boundaries. And I learned that on the fly of just, having to understand my own emotional and mental health. So that was something that I definitely made sure that me and my children always had conversations about. And I always wanted them to be able to express themselves, because I know me growing up, expressing yourself was not even a thing, okay? Expressing yourself was more like talking back. And baby, you better not talk back to Big Sister Green. Absolutely not. That is a no. But for me, I wanted me and my kids to always have open dialogues. And, I needed to know how they were feeling and what they were feeling. And as they all became teenagers and everybody's getting up in age, I wanted them to understand too that, hey, you have to set some boundaries for yourself as well. And you have to set boundaries for friends. And I do have 2 children that are social butterflies, meaning they think everybody they meet is a friend. And then I have 2 children that could care less if they meet you or not meet you. And they definitely don't consider everybody as a friend. And They don't really talk to a whole lot of people. But for my two social butterflies, letting them know that, hey, you can't say yes to everything. And you need to set healthy boundaries with your friends. So those were conversations too. And understanding, and wanting my kids to understand that self-care is a thing. And I had to learn this. And that goes into the next thing, where the importance of self-care in motherhood. Like, sometimes we as mom, we think that if we are not front and center for our children, if we are not doing absolutely everything for our children, regardless of how we're feeling, then we're not being the best moms. And that's just not true. Okay? Self-care is more than just spa days. It's taking care of your emotional, physical, and mental health. Small acts of self-care matter, such as deep breathing. Here we go again, journaling. I always find myself talking about journaling in almost every episode. Or taking 5 minutes of alone time. Again, a ride in your car in silence. Probably from the time you drop your kid off to the time you get to your workplace. Or even if you're past that point in life of dropping a kid off, just having those moments of silence is so important. That alone time is so important and is a part of self-care. Finding ways to integrate self-care into a busy schedule. Everybody don't have the luxury of having a non-busy schedule. In today's world, everybody is super busy, but we have to find time for ourselves, such as playing relaxing music while cooking or singing while driving. And people don't realize singing while driving is a self-care. It is a self-care. You having a whole concert in your car where you are the headliner. Yeah, that's self-care. Making self-care a family practice, showing children that taking care of themselves is important too. I was just having a conversation with my oldest daughter, and she was just saying how she feels a little tired, and she was just like, I do a lot. And I said, you know what? It is nothing wrong with doing a lot, and it is also nothing wrong with feeling tired. But what I want you to do is make sure you ink out some time for yourself. So you might have to say no to some things so you can get the self-care that you need and recharge yourself. So when you do show up for people and to class and for yourself, you are able to give 100%. I know for me, in self-care, now I take my self-care very seriously. It has definitely self-care has become a part of my lifestyle, and I do not shy away from it anymore because I've set those boundaries, in which has helped me make sure I put self-care in my schedule because it's needed. Again, journaling is one of my top things that I do as a part of my self-care. Reading is another thing that I do, a part of my self-care. I used to walk, but since having surgery in December, I have not been able to walk like I used to, but hopefully I can get back in the swing of that coming up in maybe a few weeks. But yeah, even me having certain conversations with certain friends is a part of self-care for me, because I get to unwind. I get to have laughs. I don't have to talk about things that are so serious. I don't have to talk about work stuff. It is just laughter. And when you found someone that you can kind of get on the phone with and they probably say 2 words, and now it is a whole laughing fiasco. That is some good self-care to me. And I have 2 friends that every time we get on the phone, 2 words are said, and then it is a whole laughing thing that is happening. And for me, that is the best self-care. And I definitely want to encourage all of my ladies, everyone who may listen to this, that self-care is not selfish. You have to find time to recharge. And I know it's a social media thing going out here, and it's like, early mornings, late night, work. And I used to be one of those. I definitely, I will admit, that used to be my mindset. In order to get it done, I got to do it, and I got to work. No matter if I got to stay up late, no matter if I got to get up early, no matter what I got to do, I'm going to get it done. But that didn't really help me, because I was staying up late and getting up early, meaning I was missing sleep. I was not well rested, meaning I was going through my day tired, a lot of times grumpy, and it was just not a good thing. And so what I say now is self-care. I don't care what is happening. I'm going to make the most out of my time from within the time that I've allotted for this thing. So what I had to do is understand that I was a huge procrastinator, meaning I had the time during the day to get things done, and I just didn't utilize my time during the day. And so now I'm up late trying to do things that I had the time to do during the day. And that is what was causing me to be up late and wake up early. And so now I found a healthy balance where utilizing my time that I have throughout my day to get things done, and prioritizing what needs to be done now and what can wait. But I tell you what, one thing I don't miss out on is any of my self-care routines. Listen, y'all, my phone tells me at 8 o'clock that it is bedtime. That is the time I set for my phone to say, you know what, shut it down. And though the phone says bedtime, I don't be getting into bed, but I start shutting it down, meaning whatever I'm doing on my computer, I'm coming to a good little stopping point, and I'll pick it back up later. Procrastination is something that was huge for me, and if you could get a reward for procrastination, I think I would have got all the awards, because I was the biggest procrastinator ever. And I still have my moments of procrastination. I do. But even in my moments of procrastination, I still do not let that affect my time for my self-care. Because why? My self-care is important. We have to find that healthy balance. And that's something that I wasn't, I'm not going to say taught, but it wasn't even discussed, healthy balance, work-life balance, motherhood balance, trauma balance. Like, none of this was discussed or talked about as I grew up. So a lot of things that I'm learning now at the age of 40 plus has been through experience and professional help. Which brings me to what I want to speak on next with navigating emotional triggers. Certain behaviors from our children can trigger unresolved emotions from our past. Identifying what trigger us and learning how to respond instead of reacting. Practicing mindfulness and grounding techniques in stressful moments is huge. Apologizing and repairing when emotions get the best of us. Teaching children that parents aren't perfect, but we're willing to grow. Like we is no blueprint for this parenting journey that we're on. In a lot of cases, we're just out here doing whatever it is that we're doing, and then boom, we're parents. And we only know what we know. Now, as a mom, as you're listening, have you ever felt like you grew up in moments where you were unheard? No one heard what you were saying, or no one could identify what you weren't saying, but what your actions were showing. And so all of these things I had to learn. Like, I had to learn how to look at my child's body language and understand if something went right, or if something was bothering them, or, being able to say, hey, you okay? And making them feel like they have this open and healthy space where they can emotionally vomit on me, because I'm the parent. And these are the things that I had to learn that was not afforded, that I was not afforded these same spaces. I couldn't go to my mom. My mom was very big on saying, you can come to me for anything. And I think that was just something that she liked to hear herself say. But my mom was not a safe space for me. Not at all times. Now, today, as an adult, she is a safe space for me. But not as a kid. She was not a safe space. And so I wanted my children to be able to understand that I want to truly be a safe space for them. And understanding that sometimes their behaviors can trigger some unresolved emotions. Because, baby, that oldest child of mine, ooh, Lord. And I hear people say all the time, your first child is like your experiment. It's like your first child is the one that's going to go through the trenches with you, okay? They're going to see some stuff that probably, as you get older, your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth child, whatever, however many kids you have, probably won't see. Because you grow and you mature and you get better in spaces. And so, yeah, my oldest child definitely it was very triggering in some of his behaviors. But I was able to get through that, again, with that professional help. Now, the role of a support system in healing. Do we even have one of those? Who has a support system for healing? Now, I've had a support system for my children. I've had a support system for me in things that I want to do, or in spaces where I created friendships and having a support system. But to be perfectly honest, I don't have or didn't have a support system for me in my healing phase. What does that even mean? What is that? Who gets one of those? And where do you get it from? Who do you identify with? No mom can heal alone. Seeking support is crucial. And that's one thing I just didn't know. Prior to 2020, I would always say, I am healing. I'm on this healing journey, so on and so forth. But 2020 was a breaking point for me across the board with so many things. And I made the conscious decision and the best effort to heal for real. And you'll hear me say that if you follow me on social media, like I posted a lot because I am in my healing for real phase. Meaning, this ain't cute. Healing is not one of these glamorous things. And that's what I learned. Like, I was not healing. All those times I said, I'm healing, I was absolutely not. Because healing is hard and it does not look cute, and so we can't do it alone. We cannot heal alone. So if you are listening, if you tapped into this episode and you are on your own personal journey of healing, understand that you cannot do it alone. Finding a community or like-minded individuals, whether they are moms, whether they are women. Some people have the opposite sex. I don't recommend, but hey, it happens. Who understand the healing journey. And that's why professional help is crucial when we're talking about healing. Therapy, coaching, or mentorship as a tool for self-growth. Like, we have to get around like-minded people and people that understand where we're coming from and where we're trying to go on this journey of healing. The number one thing I will recommend for anyone that is on their healing journey is to let go of toxic relationships. Even if they are family members, I don't care who it is. Let go of toxic relationships for the sake of your peace. See, in order to stay on this healing path, you have to find peace somewhere. And it's not always easy finding peace, because in order to, find it, you have to first be at peace. And then you can find a peaceful space. And then you're able to maneuver how you need to maneuver to continue to heal on this positive healing journey. But you have to let go of the toxic relationships. And when I say let go, I'm not saying everybody needs to be let go in the space of, I'm never talking to you again, goodbye, have a nice life, the end. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes when we're in spaces where we have to put ourselves first, we have to let go of toxic situations, even if it's for a period of time. And guess what? We might have to, let someone know, hey, look, you and I ain't good right now. This is not good for my peace. And we need some space in between us. And even if it's a family member, no love is lost. But I have to work on myself first. And of course, everyone is not going to understand that. And guess what? Do not make that a you problem. that is a them problem. That is not a you problem. So don't go trying to fix their problem. Because remember, we're working on our own healing and peace. So let them work on theirs. Now, finding joy in the healing process. Because guess what? Healing doesn't have to be painful all the time. We have to get back into celebrating our small wins, recognizing how far we've come. I mean, you took a step, that's a win. Whether it's a baby step or a huge step, whatever. A step towards your goal is a win, and it's something to celebrate. Sometimes we get too caught up in, well, it was only this, so I don't need to celebrate. No, you celebrate everything. Everything is a celebration. Everything is a small win because you are moving forward instead of backwards. How can healing make you a better mom, partner, and a friend? Well, I'll let you know. Healing can make you a better mom, partner, friend, person, all of the above, because you are able to deal with or have dealt with some of those things and those traumas from childhood and from your past that has held you captive for so long. We don't like to admit, but we all have a closet full of trauma. And we might not want to admit that. And a lot of people walking around right now saying, I'm good. Reality is they are not. But guess what? They rather, they rather hold on or mask that trauma that's in that closet versus opening the door, letting it all fall, and unpacking it one by one. Sometimes we do things thinking that we have peace. So we want to go to school and get a second, third, fourth, and fifth degree. We want to travel and kind of like not be realistic about our time and what we're doing. Some things that we just mask for the sake of not having to really deal with some of the traumas that we go through. And I can only speak for myself. Again, me showing up for everything that my children did was a form of me masking some of my trauma. Not saying that I didn't want to show up for my children, no, but like I mentioned, I showed up a lot of times for my children unhealthy. But because I had a smile and a laugh, people thought I was okay. So we have to find a way to turn our healing process into a daily practice. And that's what we don't do a lot of times. I know for me, as I mentioned before, I am on this healing journey for real. So every day, I am intentional about what I'm doing, who I'm talking to, what my goals are, and how I'm going to move the next mark. I'm intentional about those things because, again, I was a number one procrastinator in my time, which I am working so hard on not procrastinating anymore. So I work really hard and I'm very diligent on, okay, this is what I got to do. This is what I'm doing. So I can have time on the back end and have more time to do things myself, for myself, with myself, because I'm on this healing journey. And yes, we have to find a tribe of other individuals who are on the same journey. Again, you can't do this alone. Find your tribe. And guess what? Your tribe might not be your homegirl or homegirls. Or, it might be some strangers. It might be a support group. It may not be, your healing journey may not be as comfortable as you would like it to be. Because I know for me, speaking from experience, my healing journey was, when I started, was very uncomfortable. Because I started my healing journey by joining a church in which I said out loud, I would never join a church again. So that was uncomfortable. And I'm still in an uncomfortable space in my healing, even as I record this podcast. Uncomfortable. But I'm on this journey of healing, and I put this to use daily. So I encourage you all to find what works for you. Find your tribe of people. If you say, you know what, Latisha, I don't really know how to find my tribe. Like, I know I have some healing to do, but how do I find my tribe? That may look like you having conversations, because see, sometimes we never know what the next person is going through, to include our friends. And sometimes we have these general conversations with our friends, and sometimes we think we know them, but we really don't know what they're going through. And my good girlfriend kind of taught me that, where she just out of the blue, just kind of started calling me out on certain things that she was seeing from me, or my actions, or, how I said something, or how I look, and that's when I realized that some people that are paying attention to you cannot mask from, and not saying that they know you like a book, but they've been in your space maybe long enough to understand where, that was different, or you giving me some BS right now. And sometimes finding our tribe can be those individuals where it is a friend, and sometimes it might not be a friend. You might end up walking alongside a mom on a track one day because you decided, you know what, I'm going to, take some small steps in getting my health under control. So I'm going to go out to the track 3 times a week. And you might find yourself on the track with another mom. And the next thing you know, y'all talking. And the next thing you know, y'all sharing stories. And the next thing you know, somebody invited somebody out for brunch or breakfast or lunch or happy hour. That's a part of the process of finding your tribe. And if you just absolutely have no clue, if you are a person that have absolutely no clue, then reach out to me. I'll be your tribe. I'm here to be anybody's tribe, because I needed a tribe, and I know how important it is today to have a tribe. You don't have to have it all figured out. Healing takes time. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you're committed to your growth. So it is okay to make mistakes as long as you are committed to your growth. Overcoming the quote and unquote mom guilt and embracing imperfections, because we don't have all the answers. Remind yourself daily, no blueprint came with this baby. Which, when this baby was handed to me in the hospital, they didn't say, okay, here's your baby and here is your blueprint. So show yourself some grace. Allow yourself the moments that are needed for your self-care. I cannot stress enough how we have to ink in, not pencil in, but ink in self-care processes for ourselves. And again, this don't mean it has to be something extravagant. And a lot of people do, they think that self-care means, oh, I need a whole spa day and I don't have the money, so it's no self-care. It's not what it means. I gave several examples of something simple, easy, and inexpensive. If you already put gas in your car, all you have to do is utilize your time in your car. Because I know for me, I used to take up a lot of time in my car by being on the phone, answering questions, doing this, doing that. And I had to stop and say, you know what, this is my moment for me. I'm going to have a whole concert in my car. Okay, I was the headliner. That is why I was able to share that example with you guys, because it's something that I do. I practice it often. Again, it does not take a lot, but you have to ink it in. And when you start putting things before your self-care, then you will feel the effects of it by way of sometimes burnout, and understanding that in these moments of parenting, being a mom and having burnout is one of the worst combinations, because as a mom, is always something that needs to be done. It's always something. Something always needs to be done. A child always needs a something. There's always a program. There's always a game. There's always a recital. So we have to make sure, or either try our best to make sure we are putting ourselves in our best state, in our healthiest state, so we are able to continue to perform these motherly duties. And be authentic in those spaces of our motherly duties. And we are doing that by breaking generational cycles. We're setting healthy boundaries, not only for ourselves, but for our children. Not only are we setting them, we are educating our children on how to set healthy boundaries as well. We are understanding the importance of self-care in this motherhood that we're in. And not only are we acknowledging the importance of it, but we are educating our children on the importance of why mommy needs self-care if you have little ones. What else we're doing? We're navigating emotional triggers. Absolutely. We are navigating them. We are getting through them. We are making them work. Why? Because we are acknowledging that we can't do it alone, and we may need some help. Not may. We need some help. All right? Understanding the role of a support system in healing. This is like the absolute most important thing. Again, I thought I could do it by myself. And then I realized, girl, you do not got this. Okay? So not only did I have to get professional help, but I also continue to lean on some of my friends. And they don't mind. So make sure you got some people that don't mind. But again, if you need to find a tribe, I am here to be a part of anybody's tribe. No, I do not have an open door policy. I am not always available, but definitely you can reach out to me and we can have a conversation, and I can let you know what works for me as far as time and what doesn't. Lastly, we are finding the joy in the healing process, because again, healing doesn't have to be painful all the time. It does not. We are celebrating our small wins. We are recognizing every time we take a step forward, we are recognizing how far we have come. Okay, we are turning our healing into a daily practice. Daily. Daily. So make this a part of your routine. Make this the importance of your to-do list. All right? Deal? Deal. I would like to leave you guys with this. Healing while being a mom is not easy, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself and your children. By setting boundaries, practicing self care, and giving yourself grace, you not only transform your life, but also create a legacy of emotional well being for your entire family. Until next time, you guys, be safe. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Apology Accepted podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked some growth for you. Be sure to subscribe and share with others who might need this reminder too. Until next time, you all, remember, healing starts with a simple apology. Take care.